Yo, what up, though? This is the Onrea Initiative Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Onrea. I'm excited to be here with y'all, giving y'all episode number 9. 9 episodes. That's crazy. I can't believe we had 9 episodes already. At the end of last year, when I started this podcast, my intention was to provide motivation and inspiration and talk about current events and world news and music and movies and all that good stuff. And I just didn't know how it was going to be. And I'm so pleased, man, that, things are going well. And that's the thing about starting new initiatives, taking initiative to do stuff. You never really know how it's going to go until you actually do it. But if you feel like you have a purpose in your heart, if you feel like you're called to do something, you have like a force driving you, compelling you to do something, just do it. Don't be afraid of how it's going to turn out. I didn't know much about, video podcasts and editing and all that. And I'm still learning. Obviously, if you're watching this on YouTube or if you're listening to this on a podcast device, this is all work in progress. Hopefully it's getting better and better as time goes on. But I didn't know what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? I'm still learning on the fly, man. So sometimes you got to just jump out there. You got to jump out there and tackle something. You might not have all the answers. You might not have the roadmap, but you got to get started. If you trust in your higher power, you trust in God, God will give you the steps. He'll put the people in your life. He'll put the circumstances. He'll align the circumstances so that you can do whatever it is that's on your heart. You don't have whatever that thing is on your heart. It's not on your heart for no reason. You are here for a reason. You got that passion for a reason. You've got that skill and expertise for a reason. You got it for a reason, man. So, you don't have to have all the answers. You don't got to have a whole playbook. You don't got to master whatever it is you're trying to do. You don't got to have it all figured out to get started. But the thing is, you got to get started. If you don't get started, you never will get good. Eventually, this podcast, it's going to look real good on video. It's going to look real dope. It's going to sound better. Even the sound's going to sound better. But you got to get started. So I got started and I'm getting better, every time, every day, and every episode. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to y'all for watching the Onrea Initiative Podcast. And again, I hope and pray that everybody watching this, everybody listening to this takes initiative to get stuff done in life. I'm right here with you, man. I'm right here with you. Feel free to send me a message. Let me know, what you got going on. If you, take an initiative or something, I would love to know that. And I would love to know if this podcast is helping you. Make sure to leave comments on the videos. If you're watching this on YouTube, whether it's a long form video or a YouTube short, leave a comment to let me know that you take an initiative as well, man, and you getting stuff done. Or you just enjoy the podcast. On Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, wherever you see me at, send me a comment, shoot me a message. Let me know that you're rocking with the Onrea Initiative Podcast and tell somebody about it. Tell somebody, share this with your family and friends. Let everybody know that this kid, Brian Onrea, is on here giving motivation and talking about current events and current issues. Now, having said all that, speaking of current issues, man, Katt Williams did another interview. He did another podcast interview. And this time it was with Willie D. Willie D of the Geto Boys. And it's interesting because Willie D had that podcast with Scarface, the Geto Boys Reloaded, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And then Willie D and Scarface, they fell out last year around March, I think, around the Grammy time when the Grammy Awards happened, because the Grammy Awards honor all these rappers. And Scarface was up there rapping, and Scarface rapped his verse from My Mind's Playing Tricks on Me. And Willie D felt like he should have been up there with Scarface if he was doing a Geto Boys song. Scarface said they just called him. Willie D said, how come you didn't tell me about the call? Willie D felt betrayed. They got into it live on air, and we ain't seen Willie D and Scarface together since then. So it was disappointing. And as far as that goes, I do feel like Willie D should have been up there if he was doing My Mind's Playing Tricks on Me. And I felt like Scarface is a legendary rapper, one of the best ever. He had a way more decorated solo career than Willie D had. Let's just be honest with that. His career was way more decorated. Willie D had a couple dope records, but he never really had that success as a solo artist, nor did he have that many albums as a solo artist that Scarface had. However, though, and you all listening and watching can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think Scarface in his solo career ever had a record that was as big as My Mind's Playing Tricks on Me. My Mind's Playing Tricks on Me, I think, was still the biggest record that Scarface ever had, and it was a member of the Geto Boys. And it's no coincidence that they asked him to do that song, because that was the biggest song he was on. So from that standpoint, I do think it would have been cool to have Willie D up there with him. But anyway, they got into it. They got into a big thing. Oh yeah, and by the way, real quick note, Scarface did have a very, 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 very dope Tiny Desk performance on NPR. And if you don't watch NPR's Tiny Desk series, then you're really missing out, because they have some real good ones, man. I know Charlie Wilson had a dope one, Juvenile had a dope one, and the list goes on. And that's just in the last year. So yeah, that was dope. So Scarface is real dope. And he even did My Mind's Playing Tricks on Me on that Tiny Desk performance. But I do think Willie D should have been up there with him. And I wish they would have worked it out, because I enjoyed them being on a podcast together. I really enjoyed that. And hopefully they can work it out. But anyway, Willie D got his own podcast called Willie D Live. And he kind of launched it with this Katt Williams episode, kind of kicked it off. Now, a lot of people said that Willie D was clout chasing, because Katt Williams was the main topic and he was kind of just getting leftovers and clout chasing. And even so, after Katt Williams came on, his next guest, he announced today, or yesterday, he announced that Mark Curry was his next guest. Again, Mark Curry was a big topic of conversation after the Shannon Sharpe interview with Katt Williams, because Katt Williams alleged that Steve Harvey stole Mark Curry's concept for the Steve Harvey TV show, because Steve Harvey worked in a school with the kids, and Mark Curry worked in the school with the kids for this show. So he was saying Steve Harvey took his whole thing. That was a big topic. So now Willie D comes and he has Mark Curry on as his next guest. So people say, oh, he clout chasing, but to me, it's all kind of clout. I mean, listen, just to keep it a buck, even me talking about this is can be considered a form of clout chasing. I'm just commentating on the culture, but I wouldn't talk about it if it wasn't the topic y'all was interested in. And yeah, if anybody with a podcast who does a podcast, if you got a call and say, hey, you can get Katt Williams on your show right now, anybody would get Katt Williams on their show. So to say Willie D was clout chasing and all this stuff, like any of y'all who had a podcast would have Katt Williams right now. So don't even front. So don't front on Willie D like he was just, he had a chance to get Katt Williams and he got him. Katt Williams was hot. And his interview, obviously, it didn't do the numbers that Shannon Sharpe's interview did, but it's only been out a couple of days, and as of this morning when I was getting ready to record, he has 3.7 million views on it. Now that's way shy of the 40 plus million that Shannon Sharpe has. Yeah, Shannon Sharpe got 40 million with the Club Shay Shay interview, but 3.7 million views isn't bad. And the interview, Katt Williams seemed a lot more subdued, a lot more calm, but he was still going in on people. He was going in on Ricky Smiley, Steve Harvey. He was still going in on folks, It was more calm, though. The interview was only a little over an hour long, so it wasn't the almost 3-hour interview that Shannon Sharpe's interview was. Some folks were calling it boring because Willie D is more laid back with his questions. I haven't seen the clip where, I've seen the clip where Katt Williams was asking him, why are you asking me these DJ Vlad kind of questions? So people were saying that he was kind of getting at Willie D. But either way, though, it was a decent interview. It was a lot more subdued. Willie D is a lot more calm. So it was a good interview, man. But he was still talking trash, and he's still on the road lighting folks up. So if you saw that interview, let me know what you thought about it, man. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Willie D, the Willie D Live podcast. And I saw that he got Mark Curry on there. So I'm going to check that out as well. And I tell you what I'm going to do, man, as far as this whole Katt Williams stuff, if you follow my YouTube channel, I've been going back and fact-checking a lot of this stuff that Katt Williams says. And, I went back and I reviewed Cedric the Entertainer's comedy special, Live from the Ville. It was pretty good. And I'm going to go back I reviewed Cedric the Entertainer's special. I'm going to go and I'm going to review all Katt Williams' old specials, because he got some classics. I know I said that I didn't care for the last 2 specials he put out, but he got some real classics, man. in his vault. So I'm going to go back and do videos and all that. So stay tuned to the Brian Onrea YouTube channel. If you're not following it, subscribe to it because I'm going to do a lot more in-depth reviews of Katt Williams stuff, because Katt Williams is a legend, and he's hot now, but I want folks to know what he's really a legend for, and I want to go over some of that stuff, man. So the Katt Williams topic is still popping. A little bit of follow-up on that whole Katt Williams taking Kevin Hart's ex-wife Tori Hart on tour. TMZ caught up with Kevin Hart, and Kevin Hart said that it's all love. He wishes well for everybody. He hopes that the tour with Katt Williams and his ex-wife goes great. He took the high road, which I think is awesome. Take the high road, man. I still think it was a little bit disloyal on Tori Hart's part to go on tour with somebody that's going in on your child's father like that, but whatever. And even she said it was all love. She said that everybody gets along. I call Cap on a little bit of that though, because like I said, Katt Williams been attacking Kevin Hart for years, so I don't know if I would go on tour with him. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. That's just the follow-up on it, though. We'll keep you all tuned in with that. Now, speaking of conflict and beef, man, oh my goodness, Stephen A. Smith versus Jason Whitlock. I got to talk about it, man, because it's crazy. Sports journalists / sports commentators getting into beef. I think it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and it's ridiculously hilarious, man. Jason Whitlock is somebody I don't really rock with these days. It's funny because for years Jason Whitlock has got pushback because he's always had kind of conservative views. He's been like going in on black people, And I'm gonna be honest, man. For a while, I didn't have a problem with Jason Whitlock because, I kind of agreed with a lot of what he was saying, and I have no problem calling people out, calling out hypocrisy, even in my own community, what I'm saying? I have no problem with it. So I was kind of rocking with Jason Whitlock for a while, but it seems like the past few years, he's just turned into a circus act where he's just going after black folks just for like clout or views or just, unnecessarily. I think he's over the top with it, and I don't rock with it. He was really going in on Deion Sanders and Deion Sanders' family, and that's just lame. Just to go at people just for like clout and just to kind of like be a bad guy and just to kind of like be talked about is embarrassing, and I think it's disgusting, and I don't really rock with Jason Whitlock for that reason. However, though, I think Stephen A. Smith. So just give you a little bit of backstory. Like I said, I don't listen to Jason Whitlock, so I don't even know a lot of what he was saying. I know he be attacking Stephen A. Smith. He be attacking a lot of the pundits. But I had to go back and check out the most recent thing. And basically what I saw was Jason Whitlock was calling out Stephen A. Smith about some of his book, saying that he didn't write his book or he was lying in some of his book. Now, I read Stephen A.'s book. Forget the name of it, but I read it. It's a really good book, really compelling book about Stephen A. Smith's life, and I would advise you all to go read it. But there's a part in the book where Stephen A. was talking about how he got a basketball scholarship. And I'm not going to get into it. I want you to read it for yourself. But Jason Whitlock was basically saying that Stephen A. was lying about this story about how he got his scholarship to Winston-Salem State University in North Carolina. He was saying he was lying. It was ridiculous. The story was ridiculous. He even checked Winston-Salem's schedule in I think 1988, 89 when Stephen A. Smith went there. And he just called him a liar. And I guess that just set Stephen A. Smith off. And it's just funny, man. Now, I know Stephen A. Smith, he has this ESPN gig where he, talks sports real professional. But on his podcast, it's kind of weird, though. He's on his podcast, he's cussing, he's trying to talk all tough. And it's just kind of awkward to see Stephen A. Smith trying to talk tough. I'm not going to cuss because I try not to cuss on my podcast because I want anybody to listen to it. But he called him a fat bastard. He called him the B word, called him a piece of doo-doo, piece of, you know what, you can fill in the blank. And he was it seemed like Jason Whitlock touched the nerve. So the first thing I thought when I'm listening to it is is some of the stuff Jason Whitlock said true? Because typically you just ignore somebody, for a troll, you just ignore a troll. You ignore a troll. Don't give them any more clout, but Stephen A. Smith was giving him all the attention in the world. Talked about how Jason Whitlock, nobody at ESPN wanted to work with him. Because Jason Whitlock has been at ESPN, left ESPN, been with Fox Sports, FS1, left there. And he was saying nobody wanted to work with him. He pointed out how, like, nobody likes him, And Jamel Hill kind of backed up some of his claims with a tweet saying that Stephen A. Smith told the truth, that when Jason Whitlock was at ESPN, the Undefeated is a big part of ESPN, where a lot of black writers, share their stories. But according to Stephen A. Smith, Jason Whitlock was in charge of that at first. He was over that, and nobody wanted to work with him at all. And he was saying when he was on FS1, even Skip Bayless didn't like him. And now that I think about it, Jason Whitlock was never on Undisputed. Never. So, again, he called him a fat piece of you-know-what, a fat bastard, called him a female dog. And it was just kind of funny to me, man. It's kind of funny to me, man. So, if you didn't watch the Stephen A. Smith show yesterday, it was very, very entertaining. Very entertaining. I'm all about peace, love, and unity. I would say I hope that they work it out, but it seemed like this whole relationship is beyond repair. I mean, Stephen A. Smith even said that Jason Whitlock used to sit outside of the office at First Take and beg him to talk with him. Was begging him to, he sent him a letter of apology, was apologizing to him and all that. It is kind of weak if Jason Whitlock was doing all that, but I don't know, man. I just, to me, all the name calling and the tough talking is a bit ridiculous, but it is hilarious. If you want some good entertainment, if you want to be entertained thoroughly, go watch the Stephen A. Smith show yesterday. Very, 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 very entertaining, man. That's all I got to say about that, man. Yeah, even thinking about it now, I'm just laughing because it was so funny, Hearing Stephen A. Smith cuss like that, it's just something that it's like it's a rare treat. It's a rare treat, man. Anyway, shifting over to a little more sports talk. Very sad story out of Miami. As you know, the Buffalo Bills played the Miami Dolphins last week, and the Buffalo Bills actually won that game, and they clinched the division. They won the division. And, if you've ever been to a football game, I always tell people, football games, you got to be careful because football games can get real violent. Fans fight. There are regular fist fights in football stadiums. Just go here on YouTube and Google football game fight. They always fight in the football games, man. People get to drinking. You got 60,000 plus people in one area. And if you're wearing an opposing team's uniform, just always be careful, As a Lions fan, I've been to, Lions games and other places, and I'm always careful, if I wear a Lions jersey, because people always talk smack. My advice would be just to ignore people. When people talk smack to you, just ignore them, They don't know you. I went to an Atlanta Hawks game a few months ago against the 76ers. It was one of those in-season tournament games where they had the different floor, and Philly smacked up Atlanta real good. And I remember walking out the arena. I had my daughter with me, by the way, because my daughter performed at the game with her dance team. We're walking out, and people just, that's right, just talking a little bit disrespectful to all the Atlanta Hawks fans. And nobody paid them no attention. But it's just like, listen, if you go to a sporting event, man, and there's people talking trash against your team or against you, just ignore it. Because what happened here in the Miami arena with the Buffalo Bills fan, I'll read the story. It says, police in South Florida say a man fatally shot a 30-year-old Buffalo Bills fan during an altercation near Hard Rock Stadium after the Bills defeated the Miami Dolphins in the final regular season game. As Dylan Brody Isaacs and his friends were returning to their vehicle after the game Sunday night, they had an altercation with the driver of another vehicle a few blocks from the stadium. So they had left the stadium already, apparently. The driver pulled out a gun and fired shots at Isaacs, who died on the scene, police say. The man then fled in an older model Honda Accord, which was located in the Palm Beach County the next day. And they seized the vehicle, and rest in peace to Dylan Brody Isaacs. They got a GoFundMe page trying to raise money. They raised nearly $90,000 as of Wednesday to cover the funeral costs. He was a Native American. They're going to have his body transported to the First Nation Reserve in Canada. But he lived in Florida, but, Native American. But that's just sad, man. It's never that serious. I hope and pray they catch the person that shot him and put him under the jail, because we got to do better. We got to do better. But my advice to y'all, when you go to these games, man, have fun, cheer for your fans. But when other fans start chirping, just ignore them. Just ignore them, man. Ignore them, leave them alone, because it ain't no point, you know. They can try to be the tough person all they want to. You know, you might be called a punk for letting them punk you, you know. My rule is, as long as they don't mess with, like, you know, a female, you know, if I'm with a young lady, the woman or a child, I don't get, you know, who cares? You know what I'm saying? Just leave it alone. But you're not going to put my woman and my child in harm's way. But you just got to, like, ignore it otherwise, because it's just crazy. That's real sad, man. But speaking of football, man, real big news out of Alabama. Nick Saban is retiring. He announced it yesterday, and that's a huge deal. Nick Saban has made a case that he's the greatest college football coach of all time. He won a championship at LSU, and he won 6 championships at Alabama. 6. That's crazy. Fun fact, my freshman year in college, before I transferred to the University of Michigan, actually my freshman and sophomore year of college, I was at Michigan State, and Nick Saban was the coach at Michigan State. I was actually there. I remember being in the athletic building, seeing the big picture of Nick Saban with his glasses on, you know, in the athletic hall. And it's just kind of interesting, you know, as I was leaving Michigan State, Nick Saban was leaving Michigan State too. He left Michigan State to LSU, and that was a real big deal. So, and he went on to be one of the greatest college coaches ever, and he's retiring. And they're already getting decommitments. The transfer portal and the whole commitment thing with high school athletes is kind of crazy. But he's already losing recruits. A 5-star receiver, Ryan Williams, told ESPN he decommitted from the Crimson Tide. He said nobody called him and told him. You know, he's a 5-star recruit. He was the number 3 receiver and the number 9 overall prospect. He's transferring. You know, you even see Shadur Sanders post a tweet saying, "Hey, Alabama players, tap in." It's a dirty game, man, when it comes to getting recruits and stealing recruits, man. A real dirty game, man. But yeah, shout out to Nick Saban. May he, like, ride off to the sunset. He made so much money, bro. He's in his 70s. He still looked like he walking around good, talking good. Maybe he wanted to enjoy his money for the last part of his life. You know, he don't want to go old and die coaching football. You know, saying like some of these coaches. I know some coaches, they live and breathe it. They don't know nothing else, and that's all they want to do is coach. You know. Similar, Pete Carroll was removed as the coach of the Seattle Seahawks, and he's another older 70-something-year-old coach. He was pretty good too, and he won a championship both in college and in the NFL. So yeah, it's a big thing with coaching, man. Mike Vrabel got fired in Tennessee, another good coach. I don't know why he got fired. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on with coaches, man. But I want to wish Nick Saban the best, man. It's going to be interesting to see where that Alabama program goes. And we still don't know about Jim Harbaugh, if he's going to go to the NFL or not. I hope and pray he stays in Michigan as a Michigan fan, but it's going to be a lot of stuff going on in college football, man. So let's just keep an eye on that, man, college football, you know what I'm saying? Let's shift over to music, man. There's going to be a soundtrack coming out Friday to the movie The Book of Clarence. I guess Jay-Z is executive producing the movie. But the big news about that is the soundtrack is coming out Friday. And the soundtrack apparently has a 9-minute song with Jay-Z and D'Angelo. 9-minute song. And Jay-Z, you know, Nas been putting out all these albums. And Jay-Z is kind of like his friend/rival. And I was hoping Jay-Z would start putting out more music, because I want to see our older and more mature artists who are still real good. I want to see our more mature audience. Why I keep saying audience? I want to see our more mature rappers make more albums. So I think Jay-Z is long overdue for an album. We haven't had an album since the 444 album, and that came out God knows when, many years ago. I want to see Jay-Z put out more music. So a 9-minute song with Jay-Z and D'Angelo. And D'Angelo, oh my gosh, I love D'Angelo. D'Angelo is one of my favorite singers of all time. But it's a 9-minute song, and I hope it don't disappoint, because, you know, Jay-Z announced it. They were doing a press conference with Elliott Wilson, Jay-Z, and the director of the movie, I forget his name, who also produced the soundtrack. And they were saying that it's a 9-minute song with D'Angelo and Jay-Z. So I gotta see how that sounds, man. And speaking of music, man, Lil Nas X, we talked about the other day, Lil Nas X, uh, was he trolling Christians by his album cover and his song, J. Christ? He had announced that he was going to Bible school, to Liberty University for Biblical Studies. He posted a letter saying, look, I got accepted to college. I'm taking this seriously. I changed my life. I'm going back to school. Well, Liberty University came on and said that was cap. It was a lie. They never even heard of him. The letter he posted was fake. If you look at the letter, it was signed by Jerry Falwell. Rest in peace. Jerry Falwell is not even alive anymore. He was the president of Liberty University. He ain't even alive no more. So he posted the fake letter. So it's looking more and more like Lil Nas X is doing this for attention. And I don't like that, man. I think it's kind of nasty, man. As Joe Budden would say, it's nasty work exploiting the Christian church with this whole, what seems like a gimmick. And I'm pretty much convinced now it's a gimmick. And honestly, I don't even know if I want to hear the song now. Honestly, I don't even know if I want to hear it, because it seems like he's making a mockery of the church, making a mockery of Christians. So I don't know, man. I'll keep y'all posted on that. But yeah, it looks like Lil Nas X, man, posted a fake letter, and he's trolling the Christian church with his fake letter of biblical studies acceptance and all that stuff, man. So I ain't rocking with that, man. But anyway, not a whole lot of news today, not a whole lot of topics today, but I did want to tap back in with y'all and just, let y'all know what I had in my mind as far as what's going on in the culture at large, in the world. I hope that everybody listening to this has a great day. If you're playing this while you're at work, if you're playing this in the car, I hope that whatever you're working on, man, gets even better, throughout this day. I love y'all. I love each and every listener. Thank you all for rocking with me. Please subscribe. Please make positive comments. Let me know what y'all think about the show. And please share with your friends and family. And please keep taking initiative to do what you got to do to make your life what you know it's supposed to be, all right? I love y'all. Let's get it.